I drank it and I immediately knew that sort of like almond taste.
Yeah.
And I mean, luckily, I don't think it actually contained anything. I think it
Yeah.
was just flavoring, which I was so lucky.
So
but it
scary,
was, I
though,
think
yeah.
it was that moment where I was like, I mean, I just went into full anaphylactic shock, really, like my throat, and I just started like hives, like it was awful. I ran back to the restaurant and we had to get the guys off the mountains to come down, and they couldn't give me adrenaline, they could only give you air. Always a really nice sign also if they ask questions about it when you do bring it up. If they're like, it's funny because I always think the first thing that they say is, so are you that person on the plane that has to have the announcement? I think when you're enjoying what you're doing, then there's no real pressure. You just kind of go with it. And also, I'm really looking forward to my holiday at the end of the week.
Would you do me a massive favour and click follow or subscribe button? It helps the podcast out so much. Hello and welcome back to Making Zim Podcast. I'm joined by Ellie Silvey from Ellie Foodie. As you just told me, the May is from your middle name, which
That is my middle
I
name.
never knew that. So fitness. So you started this fitness page. Was it back during the lockdown? I've jumped straight to the chase, but like with yourself, like you were PT, but you've also got food allergy.
Yeah, so I really, through the lockdown, I was on furlough for like 7 months, which obviously is a really long time to have nothing to do. So I started enjoying cooking, really got into it. And so my friends decided that I should really start making Instagram posts. So I set up what was Ellie May Fitness, now Ellie May Foodie. I started posting recipes through the lockdown. And then I decided that I would do a personal training qualification, which is something that I've wanted to do for a really long time. Like,
has it been on the back burner, just like waiting to kind of
like I've
take
always
that
been
first
into
leap?
the gym and everything. I've always thought, oh, that is something I'd really love to do. It's something I'm really interested in. Even if I don't end up doing it as a job, I thought it's something that I'm interested in. I'd love to learn more about. And I thought 7 months on furlough is probably the best time to do it
Perfect
if you're not
time.
going to get another time to.
So have you always been into fitness then? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
what did you go to university as well?
I went to university, but I did communication and media,
Okay.
which is quite different.
Completely different way.
Completely different. But I think I've always grown up with sort of fitness in my life. I used
Yeah.
to be a ballet dancer.
Oh, amazing. Me too.
Did you?
Yeah, when I
Ballet?
was about 13. Like,
Oh, I
yeah,
didn't
for
know
about 5
that.
years. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's really cool. So I was massively into ballet up until I was about 18, from about 4 years old.
Did you want to be a ballet dancer then? Was that kind of like, because it's
I would love to say yes. I would love to say yes,
Yeah.
but no, it was always more of a hobby. I've always wanted to, I would love to teach it. I would love to go on and do more exams and teach it, but I never saw it as a sort of a
like
career
a career,
goal.
like, yeah, this is what I want to do. kind of
Exactly.
thing.
Like, I was good, but I was never that good. You know.
Me too. Like,
Yeah,
never quite
so
made it. Now we're here
I
together
tried
on the podcast.
I did point for a little bit, but I could never do it properly.
Yeah.
So I tried. So yeah, I did that all through my life. My mum has always been into fitness. She's into Pilates.
Amazing.
She did the London Marathon. My dad was a marathon runner. So I think I've grown up with fitness sort of all around me. Which I think has sort of led to me being where I am now.
Are you the
really
only sibling
enjoying
then?
it.
Have you got brothers and sisters?
I've got two sisters, two younger sisters,
really?
both also into the gym and fitness.
Oh, amazing. So it runs in the family then. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think so. And like my middle sister, actually, and my younger sister, they were both really into springboard diving.
What's that?
You know,
Just
like
diving.
diving into a pool off a
The
spring-
springboard
like Tom
caught me
Daley
off then. I
style.
was like, springboard diving. I was
Tom
like, yeah.
Daley style. I know. I tried that. Could
Yeah.
never get into it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think as a family, we've all been quite into it, which I think has definitely influenced me to where I am now.
Was it quite nerve-wracking then kind of setting up your kind of social media page and putting yourself out there in it and taking that kind of first step? Because I remember
Yeah.
the first time I posted online, you're, oh my God, what were people going to think? Like, how was that for you then?
To be honest, like at the beginning, I think I found it less nerve-wracking than maybe I do now, because I think I'm at the stage now where I definitely want to put more sort of
Content
time and
out, yeah.
effort into it. And like I've started speaking on my stories, which I actually think is a little bit more nerve-wracking, considering I don't have like huge amounts of followers or anything like that. So I think it's always in the back of your mind, like, oh, what are people going to think? Like, oh, does she think she's an influencer and things like that? You know, like
Yeah.
it can be a bit nerve-wracking, but I've kind of got to the stage now where I'm like, I don't really care.
I think so, yeah, because I felt like that, you know, like sometimes when you're like, oh my God, what if someone from work
Yeah,
sees it? But I
exactly.
think like you're just like, no one.
I think you just stop caring, don't you?
You get to a
Like,
point where you're just like, I need to
I
take that
really
leap,
enjoy
yeah.
it. It's something that I'm passionate about. I love speaking about healthy lifestyles like balance, like food, fitness. I love speaking about everything. And now obviously I've started talking about my nut allergy a little bit more. I think I've just got to the point where I've stopped caring what other people, if I enjoy it, then that's all that matters.
Yeah. What was the main reason then kind of like setting up the page? Was there, did you felt like there wasn't any content which kind of you related to, or did you feel like there was a...
To begin with, I think it just started off as a food page.
Okay.
I've always been into sort of like balanced lifestyle and healthy living and everything. So I think there was no real focus of my page particularly to begin with. I think it was more just somewhere like an outlet to post recipes that I was making through the lockdown and to post like lifestyle tips and everything. But now I'm definitely trying to focus it a little bit more and like talk about my nut allergy a little bit more and like have a bit more specifics to talk about.
Yeah, it's tricky though, isn't it, sometimes, because you feel like I need to be doing video content now, or you mentioned earlier on the podcast, like I want to be doing like more reels. And it's just like, and Instagram
so
now,
much
and I don't call themselves like a photo sharing app.
No.
Now they're saying like we're
video.
a video first app, like,
which is so difficult because it's actually, whereas before Instagram was so like instant and it was in the moment and you just snapped a picture and you put it up. Like honestly, I have a sort of like a more personal page that I use, and the photos that I used to post are so funny. Like I look back, but that's what it was. It was literally just
like a diary,
app that you. I can remember posting a picture of like a bin bag full of my, I think it was end of year 13.
Dress then, yeah.
No, not fancy dress. It was like the end of year 13 and I'd thrown away all of my like exam books and like revision notes and everything. And I just put a picture up of this bin bag in my room. And that's what it was. It was never something so planned. Whereas now I feel like you do put a lot more thought into it. Like I've set up like a content calendar and things like that, which...
Oh, really?
Whether I
need
stick
to
to it
do
or
this,
not.
but I just like it's so hard.
It's
I just
so
feel
hard.
And I felt as well because I thought about doing like a content calendar, but like, right on this day I'm going to post this. Well, then I thought it kind of takes away the fun. It feels like a bit of a job then. It's really tricky, innit? Because like you feel like you need to be posting content all the time, but then
I think
like
what I like to do is I like to have sort of almost just like a list of things that I want to post. Sort of in this week, I would like to post these. Because otherwise I do fall out of the habit of posting and I do go through phases where I don't really post a lot. And I love posting. I love making content. I just need to get into it. I need to get into the swing of it. So at the moment I am sort of writing down what I want to focus on. Which
my
is
literally notes is just like full of like ideas.
Yeah, and like I write on the tube on the way into work. I like write my posts down in my notes and everything. So
how was uni then, like with an allergy? Have you always been quite confident, like just speaking up about it around strangers or students?
I think, if I'm completely honest, like it's only the past couple of years that I've become really conscious of my allergies. Like,
really?
I was diagnosed, if you call it diagnosis, I was diagnosed with my allergy when I was about 12 or 13. And I think growing up after that, I was obviously always conscious of it, but I never really put that much thought into what I was doing. Like I remember going to, oh God, this is going to make me sound awful, Malia.
I mean, I went there
when
I was
Malia?
17 as well, like my first like lads holiday with everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I went when I was in like year 12 or 13. And I remember we were at the bar and obviously we all wanted free shots and they gave us a shot of amaretto.
Oh my! Did you have an allergic reaction?
No, but obviously I drank it and I immediately knew that sort of like almond taste.
Yeah.
And I mean, luckily, I don't think it actually contained anything. I think it was just flavoring, which I was so lucky.
So
but it was,
scary,
I think it was that moment where I was like, what am I doing? I had to go and sit in Malia Medical Centre with a thing on my finger just to make sure.
Oh, really?
Luckily, it was at the beginning of the night as well. So I wasn't actually like drunk or anything like that.
That scares me because at 17, you still like a bit like, I've got this allergy, but like...
Exactly. And
I
just remember like running around the street with my EpiPens.
That's what I mean. I think I definitely... I mean, back then, I think I carried one. Like, I don't think it's only
and it was
recently.
always out of date back then as well. I was awful.
Yeah, definitely when you take on that responsibility, I'm like constantly like checking it. Like,
like I think at uni, I was definitely, obviously I was aware of it. I was conscious of it. And I always like made sure that I was being careful. But I think I'm much more considerate about it now.
Was you embarrassed about bringing it up then on a date? Or was you... Do you just kind of just...
I've never been embarrassed about bringing it up.
I said you've never been on a date.
I've never been on a date. My friends will know that's a lie. No, I actually listened to your podcast with the Allergy Bubble and she was talking about this. And I don't know, I've never found it embarrassing or I've never been even worried about bringing it up on a date or anything. I usually just like throw it into conversation before we've even met up. Like I think last week I was chatting to someone and it just came up in conversation. Like I didn't have
like
to make a thing out of
gift,
it.
like.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of just make not a joke out of it, but I just kind of drop it into conversation.
I make a joke about it. I do it in like a jokey way, but obviously they know that like it's very serious. I can't talk about it serious all the time.
Yeah,
Otherwise
exactly.
you're gonna be like,
I know,
like
boring.
Dan's talking about it again. Like, but,
no, and like I think it's always a really nice sign also if they ask questions about it when you do bring it up. If they're like, it's funny because I always think the first thing that they say is, so are you that person on the plane that has to have the announcement?
Every time,
I'm like, oh, again? I'm like, yes, I am that person. But I think it's always actually quite nice when they do show an interest and like, they're like, oh, I'm researching EpiPens and how to use them now. I'm like, oh, green flag.
Feel like less anxious then, doesn't it? Kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I've actually never been concerned about bringing it up.
You mentioned earlier that like you've only like recently like come more aware. Do you mean in the sense of like how serious it is, or is it just being around people in the community? Because obviously with your page it crosses between fitness and allergies.
Yeah, I think it's the Instagram that has actually made me way more aware. Way more aware, possibly way more anxious.
I honestly think like, right, it could sound quite bad, but I felt like if I didn't have May contain, I wouldn't be speaking about allergies all the time.
No.
And it wouldn't constantly be on my mind. So
I think this is what
equals
it is.
Less anxious. Like it does. Like
honestly, like there are so many things that I have thought about recently that I'm like, that's just another layer that I'd never considered before. Dating for one, like I'd never even considered the fact that, oh, like what have they eaten that day?
Yeah.
I don't know. And another one is I've just started drinking coffee. Have they washed the milk jug out properly? I mean,
right. So I went to prep this morning.
Oh gosh.
I always get, I know, like that's obviously on my mind as well, what happened to Natasha.
Yeah.
But then with prep, I always get a black Americano. But then this sounds
Safe,
like
isn't
really
it?
vain, but I was like, I'm going to stay in my team.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so then I was like, oh, I'm just going to get like, so I looked through the milk and they didn't have like nut milk. So I was like, I'll just get an oat milk.
Yeah.
Flat white. But then they do hazelnut shot. So when they gave it me, I was like,
Can we just make sure?
Double check there's no syrup? And she's like, no. But then I still didn't really enjoy it. I was still a bit on edge, and I'm like, it's so annoying having an allergy because then there's times where like I just want to enjoy a coffee.
When I was on site for work the other day, I got a coffee. I went to Starbucks and got a coffee there, and they're actually pretty good because they have all the different milk jugs. So you know that it's. I mean,
where's this?
Starbucks, yeah. So they have like a good policy in place where they do use separate milk jugs for different types of milk, which is really great. But I was still a bit like on edge when I was drinking it. And also I think because I've only just gotten into coffee, which is crazy. But now I'm like addicted to it. It's great.
I feel like on your Instagram story, see you with like coffee one hand.
Like coffee, like frothy coffee, love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just another layer that I'd never even considered before because I've always been a tea drinker. But now I'm like, oh, has that milk jug been washed out properly? Could there be cross-contamination with what I'm drinking here? So I don't know. It's
I always really struggle with that. I was gonna say, what's your experience like then, kind of like eating out? Because I know from kind of like your Instagram, I know you kind of eat out quite a lot. Like, how do you kind of manage them emotions, shall I say, like that whole like anxiousness when you kind of eat out?
I mean, like generally, I feel pretty safe when I'm eating out. I think a lot of places are definitely getting better with allergies. I've actually come across quite a few places recently that have asked me on the door whether I have got any allergens, which is amazing, and it always makes me feel so great. Yeah. Obviously there are places that aren't so good. I have had a few experiences in the past where I don't even know how to explain it. Like we've ordered a salad to share or something, and it's come with walnuts on it, and I've said, can you take that away? Like I'm really allergic to nuts, and if everybody's sharing it, like, I don't have to have any, but if everybody's sharing it, cross-contamination with everything else. Yeah. And they didn't understand. They didn't understand the fact that if I wasn't eating it, why is it just being on the table an issue? And I think some places like that, they are still growing. I don't know. They're still educating maybe. But like generally, I think places are pretty good.
Have you been like, do you eat out like, so for example, I know you've got like a severe nut allergy as well. in regards to kind of like Indians and like,
I don't.
do you avoid them? I've
I just
actually found a
avoid them.
place in Dalston which have said to me they're
Ew.
completely nut free.
No way. I'll have to go.
Someone messaged me on Instagram and be
An
like,
Indian?
yeah, an Indian. Check out this restaurant. I was like, all right. So I was like, you know what? I'll just like drop him a quick email
Yeah.
just to double check. I didn't want to get there and be like, yeah, everything's got
Yeah.
nuts. So I sent an email. I was just like, oh, like someone's been recommending your restaurant. Can I just check about like whether you use nuts? And the email back saying there's no nuts in the kitchen whatsoever.
Because all sort of Asian cuisines I completely avoid. Like, this is another thing.
I still
when
feel
I was
anxious having it though.
Yeah,
Imagine
so
like,
do
after so
I.
many years. Like,
Oh my god. When I was, well, I don't even know how old we used to get Chinese as like a friendship group all the time when we were at school. And this is another thing. I never used to even consider the fact that Chinese may well have nuts or be cooked in nut oils or anything. And now I'm like, I would never get a Chinese takeaway because
it's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
What about like, I've always felt like I've missed out in regards to like not being able to go to like Thailand or travel around Asia. Do you
Me
feel
too.
the same?
I feel like I couldn't go over there. Although people do tell me now, like, as long as you take a card that has all the different languages on, but I'm like, I just don't know whether I trust it enough.
I know people like, I think Kyle, he's like the founder of these like Equal Eats like allergy cards. He went there, but he just brought a suitcase full of snacks and food.
Oh yeah,
but it seems
can you
like
do that? You can't.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it is one way to do it.
Out
yeah,
a little bit. I mean, I would absolutely love to go over there. I obviously did. I did New Zealand and Australia after university and travelled around there, and I would love to have gone over to Thailand and done there as well. But I need to figure out a way that I can travel around and not have an allergic reaction.
I was going to ask you about your job as well. Can we talk a little bit about that? Because obviously,
definitely
from like I see from your Instagram stories, like you travel abroad with your job. Would you like to kind of tell us a bit about like kind of what you do?
Yeah, of course. So I'm an events manager. So I mean, one of the perks of the job is obviously that we get to travel, which is really, really lovely. And it does come with its difficulties in terms of allergies and eating out, and even eating whilst the event is going on. Obviously, I went to Cannes recently, which you would think...
How was that?
I mean, stunning.
It was amazing.
I want to move
I've
there.
seen people's like Instagram stories. I'm like, I need to go. I need to find someone. Who
They
can
were
get
setting
me an
up for the
invite.
Cannes Film Festival while we were there as well. I was like, this is amazing.
There's a guy I went to uni with, and he moved out to like LA, and now he's like an actor out in LA, and he's at like the Cannes at the minute. And
yeah, because it's all happening at the moment, isn't it?
Like,
it's stunning over there. And like, whenever I wasn't in the basement of a hotel, because events sound so glamorous, but really you're just in the basement of a hotel the whole time because you're doing the event. Anytime I came above ground, I was like snapping pictures of the Instagram, being like pretending that I was out and about. Yeah, but in terms of like food, obviously the nature of events and food is very grab and go. Like you kind of have to just get what you can and eat it and then get back to it straight away because you've got a live event running. Like you don't really have time.
It's tricky. Do you find it tricky then? Because like that grab and go is a bit like when you run to Pret and get a sandwich or run to like a sandwich shop.
You have no time to think about it.
Do you struggle with that? Because I don't really buy like sandwiches.
No, neither.
What do you do in that situation where it is you need like a quick snack or food?
London events and like UK events tend to, well, actually, let's start with London. So London events I find the easiest, obviously because I can bring my lunchbox from home and I can bring all my snacks with me and it's so easy.
You seem very well prepped. I've seen
very
your meal
well
prepped.
I am Tupperware queen. But anywhere where I have to go away from home for a longer period of time does get more tricky. I'd say obviously UK events generally are easier because I kind of know what I can eat. I run to M&S and I get a sandwich from there, which tends to be okay. But it's when I go abroad, that's when it gets more tricky because I don't have access to my usual food. So for example, this event that we did in Cannes, it was like a buffet style crew lunch and everybody just grabbed everything, then they went back to their jobs.
Gives me anxiety already. Like, imagine
it looked
tricky,
amazing. The food was beautiful food. Like we were in this lovely hotel and like you can tell that they've put effort into it. And as far as crew food goes, like we get served some like real like horrible meals sometimes, like but this was like really fresh, really lovely, but it was buffet style and we had all of the like little bowls here and then we had all of the delicious French like delicacies, like all the macaron and like, you know, all the really lovely little treats, but they all had nuts on.
Oh no.
And then we had all the like hot buffet food over there, and this guy came around and he told me, you can eat this, you can eat this, you can't eat this, and you can't eat this. And I'm like, the fact that there's even foods that I can't eat there means that I can't eat anything.
Yeah, because
people are going to be like scooping out of there and then scooping out of there, and it's all going to get mixed up. And then I found myself having to, this is another thing that I was going to talk about, but having to apologize for the fact that I needed a separate, no, but this is something that I was going to say, because I then felt like I was being a nuisance for saying, oh, I'm really sorry to, like, you know, I know we're really busy and we're really short on time, but please can I have a separate meal brought out for me, because I can't eat this. And I know you've told me what I can and can't eat, but I don't feel comfortable eating any of this. So in the end, I ate sea bass, plain rice, and roasted veg for 3 days running because
I knew, the basics,
and they knew on the first day, that was the issue day where I had to be like, oh, like, I'm really sorry, but I can't eat this. And after that, they just bought me the same meal every day, which was fine after that. But
it's that meal you know you're safe with. And I think as well, like, sometimes you do feel like you need to apologize for having your allergy, but you like at the end of the day, like,
this is something that I've caught myself doing quite a lot recently, and I need to
stop yourself
out of it, because why am I apologizing?
Because by you apologizing, they might think it's not as serious as well.
Exactly.
Like, potentially.
Yeah, like I felt like, I know that they didn't mean to put me in that position, but I felt like I was being a bit of a nuisance by having to ask for a separate meal, which obviously I can't help the fact that I've got a nut allergy. I'm just protecting my life here. Like, I can't help it. But I did find myself apologizing for that situation, which I definitely need to stop doing.
So what countries have you visited? Quite a few countries then at the minute?
Mostly around Europe.
So that's okay.
Yeah. So generally it's okay, because I mean, I kind of know the foods. Like, I've been to Portugal, Barcelona I've been to a couple of times, and then Cannes, obviously a couple of weeks ago. I was meant to go to Amsterdam right now, but it got cancelled.
Oh no.
But yeah, so I've been to a few places. I've never been further away than that. But yeah, it's it can be a tricky one to navigate when you don't have access to your usual foods, I think.
It's definitely hard. Have you found, like, the one thing I feel like I'm missing out with, just, even in London as well, is just like desserts?
Oh my God. Make your own.
I'm
such a big baker.
I know, I'm not a baker though. So
I'll bring you some cookies.
Yeah, next time you see me. Like.
Yeah, I do. I tend to just find my own treats. In restaurants, I do miss out on puddings because it's just not worth it, is it? Like,
it's not worth the risk. I was going to ask you as well, like, in regards to, like, your kind of habits at the minute, like, do you always get up super early every morning then? Because I was really blown away by this when I seen your Instagram story. I was like, oh my God, do you get up at like 5:30?
Not every day.
Yeah, most days.
And well, I go into the office Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, most weeks. So Mondays and Fridays are my like lion day, but I still like to go to the gym in the mornings. Yeah. So I get up around 6:30, which I think is a pretty like, is it?
I'm like 8:30, yeah.
Well, I think that's like not so bad.
Yeah.
And then I'm home and I have some me time and I can like get ready and be ready for the day by 9 basically. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I have to be in the office by 9. So I do tend to get up at about 5:30 to get into the gym and
is
then
that
get
normal
to the office
for you?
after. I'm used to it now. I'm used to it now. Like I always make sure one of those days is a rest day. So for example, it's normally a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Normally a Wednesday that I can get up at normal time 6:30. But yeah, 5:30 does tend to be my.
Are you really into like the
time.
whole like fitness pal like?
Yeah,
I do. Do you track it every day?
Not,
or do you know now roughly?
I do. I feel like I've done it for long enough that I kind of do know what I should and shouldn't be eating, but I know how much I can eat. But at the moment, I'm going on holiday at the end of the week. So we have been tracking. Yeah. We have been tracking for the past few weeks. But when I'm just sort of maintaining and just trying to eat normally, I don't tend to. Like every now and then I'll put sort of what I'm eating in a day into my fitness pal just to make sure I'm.
Because I used to do it trying to gain weight and it's so hard.
It's so, that's something I'm trying not to do.
You feel like you got to be like so strict with like.
It's like it's protein levels as well, because I go to the gym so often. I want to make sure that I'm eating enough protein, sort of like make sure that my muscle mass is growing, like that. So often I do track a couple of times a week just to make sure that.
Do you have to track your macros?
Track my macros, my protein, got to get it in. Yeah.
I was gonna say, what advice would you give to like someone who wants to start the gym, but it's quite nerve-wracking, isn't it? I remember. It's definitely like going there and like you feel like, oh my God, like where do I start? Like,
I know, like I can remember going back when I think I started going to the gym probably when I was in year 10. So how old's that? Like 15, I reckon.
Yeah, I was like,
that's probably when I started going to the gym. But I remember I literally just used to walk on the running machine and then I'll go home. Like that's all I used to do. I used to be terrified, and obviously the scary weights area, like it can be really nerve-wracking. I think if I
Do you think
was
it's harder
gonna-
being a woman as well, and like people staring, and like, because you see it on TikTok where girls are like doing like squats and like filming themselves, and you see like guys like leering
But
over.
I do think girls are getting so much better at it. And I do like, I went to the gym the other day and it was only girls in the weights area, and I was like, yes,
Amazing.
girls,
Go
this
girls.
is so good. This is so good. And it's really empowering seeing all the girls like trying to get strong rather than just trying to get skinny the whole time. Like, I feel like something has or is changing.
Do you think that there's been a transition since after lockdown? Do you think? I don't know. Is it?
I mean, it's definitely recent.
Whether
it's
girls now want to be
recent.
strong than like
skinny.
Yeah,
definitely. I don't know what it is that's changed, but there has some sort of culture change. I don't know whether it's because of TikTok or Instagram, but it's great. Yeah, it's so good, and it's so much fun.
I think I've definitely saw some on Instagram where girls are like promoting the fact like they're really strong, like
to,
where they take their shirt off
getting
and like
your
the muscles are massive. Yeah.
Like deadlifts are like one of my favorite lifts to do, and I just feel so strong when I'm doing it. It's so good. And I love seeing other girls getting into the gym and lifting weights rather than just being on like the cardio machines the whole time. It's just so
kind of thing. Like,
yeah, definitely. But I think if I was going to give advice, I would say just like, firstly, I would start doing classes. I think group classes are a really great way to start getting into it and sort of build some confidence and almost like learn technique.
What type of classes then would you like recommend?
I mean, I love any kind of group class. I think it's so motivating, especially if you're going through like a funk with exercise. Like if I fall out of love with weightlifting for a little bit, then I will often do a class and like stick to that just for a little while, just to like keep moving.
Yeah.
But it takes the thought out of actually doing it yourself. What else would I say? Put some great music on and get your head down.
What playlist?
No one's looking at you.
I'm always like struggling trying to find like the best gym playlist.
I have
honestly,
so
every
many.
time I go to the gym, I'm always like flicking through. I'm like, no, this isn't working.
It depends what mood I'm in. Sometimes it's Spice Girls.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it really varies. Like one of my really good friends, she has like a running playlist, but it's like heavy music. Like it's so good. So sometimes it's that, but
it's like metal music.
It really depends.
So I was going to ask, like, being like kind of consistent with the gym, has that really helped with your kind of like happiness as well?
Yeah, I definitely think I am best when I have a routine, definitely, and I know what I'm doing, and I literally sit down on a Sunday afternoon and I plan everything. I love a productive Sunday.
Like,
I've
to
said
the point
this
of like,
recently.
I'm going to do this, and
like I love knowing what I'm doing and when, and definitely getting into that structured routine with the gym has really helped with just like focus, I think, and like having that outlet where I know in the mornings it's literally an hour of me time. Like it makes such a difference. Whereas I know this is one of the reasons that I love going to the gym in the morning, is that I know that there is going to be absolutely no reason that I'm not going to go, other than, wanting to stay in bed.
A little sleep,
But most of the time I'm fine with it. Whereas if I leave it to the evening, I could get pulled to the pub with some friends, or like, there are so many
distractions.
Work might like drag on. Like there are so many things that could get in the way, and then I just don't get it in. So at least if I go in the morning, I know it's an hour of me time before anybody else wakes up. I get it in and I get home, and then the day can begin. So I definitely think having that structure is like what keeps me.
I know you spoke really openly about kind of the lockdown and kind of your mental health there. I mean, how was that for you, like going through? I mean, everyone kind of struggled with it in some way. How was that for you?
I think generally the lockdown, I just feel like I'm such a different person now to pre-pandemic.
Oh, really?
Such a different person. I feel like actually the lockdown, it was awful in so many ways, but it's done me so many good things as well.
In what ways?
Firstly, I started my Instagram. Like I would never have done that. I've started my personal training qualifications. I would never have done that. I just feel like I have grown so much as a person in the past couple of years. Was it that time for reflection?
Was you furloughed then, or was you still working?
I was furloughed for 7 months, so from the March up until I don't know the end of the summer time. So it was a long time.
That's the same as me. Like, how did you kind of keep occupied? Because I had to find ways to like keep myself busy. Otherwise,
I got a great tan.
Did you?
It was lovely weather that
tanning
summer, wasn't
game
it?
was on point. Like,
I think I had the best tan of my life.
That was the best summer as well.
It was so good.
So this podcast is sponsored by FoodLama. So I do my food shopping online on Asda, and it's like a Google Chrome extension. So you download it to Google Chrome, and all the products either have a tick or cross against it. So if it's got a cross, you click on the cross. It'll tell you why you can't have it. So it might say it's got may contain nuts, or it might even say it contains nuts. At the minute, it's only working on Asda, but I know they are looking at rolling it out to other supermarkets very soon. But yeah, if you want to check out FoodLama and you do your grocery shopping online, check it out at heyfoodlama.com. I'll also leave a link in my podcast description as well if you want to check it out.
I started drawing again, which is something that I've not done in years. Like, I used to absolutely love it. And then it's just something that other people may get time to do it, but I just never have time to just sit down and draw. I remember every Thursday morning I'd do a life drawing class.
Oh, really?
Like, they were doing it on Zoom, which was amazing. Like, I would never have done that.
I did that once.
Did
it
you?
was quite funny, yeah.
It's
because
just
there's
a
nothing
fun
else
thing
to do as well, weren't there? Like,
I had nothing else to do.
Sun bears in the garden, and at the night,
Exactly.
like, it was quite nice to do something.
It was, and like all my housemates were still working as well, so I was the only one on furlough.
Oh, God,
so
yeah.
it was literally like me, myself, and I most of the time, and I was really lucky in the fact that we have a garden and we have a basement in our house, so I was able to have the outdoor space when we weren't allowed out of the house, and equally I was able to go down to the basement and do my exercise.
Yeah.
Which I think that massively helped my mental health. I think if I hadn't have had that space to move and do my exercise and just have the outdoor space, I don't know how differently it would have affected me. I think probably I wouldn't have been so not okay with it, but I was more,
It's
settled.
tricky though, isn't it? Yeah, because I think when in that time where you couldn't really do anything, like you had to go out for a walk.
It was just, you're just sat there
go
with
out for a run.
your own like mind, really, aren't you?
Yeah.
And
which is a good but a bad thing as well. Like, if you've got too much time to reflect on it, like,
you don't want to sit too much and think.
do you think it give you time then to reflect on like what your passions were, or kind of?
I mean, I think it definitely gave me that time to sort of sit and rethink everything. Like, one of my friends, she quit her media comms job and is now becoming a midwife.
Oh wow!
Like, she's gone back to university for 3 years and she's becoming a midwife. Like, if the pandemic hadn't happened, she'd probably still be doing what she was doing, and she probably wouldn't have made that jump. So I just think although it was such like a difficult time for so many reasons, I think actually it's like pushed people to do things they probably wouldn't have done before. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I definitely experienced that, and I think I struggle with like sometimes putting so much pressure on myself to like, I want to achieve this, I want to do that, and I imagine it's the same in fitness. Sometimes you reach your goal, but then
it's like, what next?
Yeah. do you kind of go through the same kind of emotions where, like, I don't know, in terms of like, for me personally, sometimes I think I don't have time to actually like go with the wins, and then I was like, what's the next thing to be doing? Like,
I think with like fitness at the moment, I'm in a really good space where actually I don't really have a particular goal. I'm just kind of enjoying it. And like, I do all my sessions and I push myself in each session, and I have a coach and she does 6-week blocks for me.
Oh, amazing.
So it
do you
changes.
meet in person, or is it all online?
It's online. She's an online coach.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
Do you guys as well?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
She's great. I'll put you in touch.
Yeah.
she's
Okay.
great.
Yeah,
but she, like, I just think having that, and she doesn't really like, I don't have a particular goal in terms of I want to hit this number at this time. I did that before Christmas and I got in my head too much, and then I couldn't do it. Whereas I'm really enjoying just going at the moment and seeing what I can do. But in terms of like, I feel like I'm the kind of person where I love being busy, but also is that always a good thing? I don't know. I always feel like I should be doing something.
Yeah, I'm like such a like overactive mind, and I like really struggle.
I feel like I should always be like, being productive.
Just like chill out and stuff.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, what is success for you then? Like, because I know it's different for everyone, and is that a deep question?
That's a hard question. Yeah. What's success?
What is happiness? Like, what makes you really happy? Like?
I think at the moment, just enjoying what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think it is different for everybody. I think at the moment, I've got such a solid routine that works for me, which I'm absolutely loving. Like, as I say, going to the gym in the mornings, I don't feel the need to like miss a session just because I can't be bothered at the moment. I'm just enjoying going. And I think when you're enjoying what you're doing, then there's no real pressure.
You just kind of go with the flow.
You just kind of go with it. And also, I'm really looking forward to my holiday at the end of the week.
So where are you going?
I'm going to Gozo, which is like Malta.
Oh, wow.
Like
Have you been
the
there before?
island. Yeah. So I go there like loads.
Really?
It's like my second home.
And it's
yeah,
good with
I love
allergies
it.
then as well.
Yeah, it is. It's really like I think those kind of countries are actually pretty good because.
Oh,
it's
really? Because I was going to go
pasta
to
and
Malta,
pizza.
like, I think it was like during the first lockdown. I ended up going to Rhodes in Greece.
Oh yeah.
But it was definitely on the agenda. I remember looking at like the
go.
flights and it was quite cheap.
I mean, also everybody. It sounds awful, doesn't it? But most people speak English as well,
so
which I
that's what it is,
really
yeah.
think helps. I definitely feel safe over there. So they kind of understand, which is good.
Is it an all girls holiday then?
I'm just going with one of my gal pals.
Yeah. That's quite
which
nice.
is
Just,
really
like, chill
nice.
out and
It's just for
relax,
5 days. It's just to get away for a little bit because we didn't have anything booked until September. So we were like,
yeah, you need something to like.
it's been a
tie you
busy
over
month.
kind of thing,
we
like,
need some time down.
Do you use like the allergy cards, or like you said, they speak English, so it's usually.
You know what? I
anyway.
actually haven't done, but my friend, she speaks French, so she sent me how to say I'm allergic to nuts in French when I went over to Cannes. But otherwise, I've never really had, or not had to. I've just never thought about using it.
So my friend Rob come back from, he's in France, he's in Paris actually, and he got a packet of ham and it said like it's got nuts in it.
What?
And he sent me like the packaging. And
They
I was
contain
like,
nuts or just it has.
no, I think it said like contain nuts because I
That's
don't
so
know, like because
strange.
it's only French.
Yeah.
But he's like, look, like this ham either says it's got nuts or may contain nuts. I think he said
How
it's got nuts in it,
strange.
and I was just like, what the hell? And
It's
he was
random
like, imagine
foods,
if I was
isn't
like
it?
in the bedroom with the lights off at night, just like
Just packet
get
of
some
ham.
ham. I mean, I would definitely do that.
Is that a midnight snack?
There's definitely a thing abroad because I remember
Yeah,
like
definitely.
I recently went to Rome and literally we bought like ham and like bread and I was literally just like nibbling on that. Like,
But like, how
'cause
do
I
you
couldn't
find
have
like
anything,
eating bread and things like that? Because
I
that's
avoid-
something that I struggle with.
So I would never get like the bakery bread. But if it comes with like the ingredients
like a
on
packet.
it,
Yeah,
if it comes
same.
in like a sealed packet, then I would.
Yeah,
But,
that's
like,
the same as me. We
usually,
miss out on
like-
all the good things, don't we? The
Yeah.
bakery.
Lily on the podcast, and she was saying like there's a bakery in London where they're like completely like nut free.
Really?
So I can give you the name of that. She told me the name of it. I just don't remember.
I need to find all of these places.
It's something like Menza or Munza. I don't know.
Okay, I need to find all these
check it
places
out,
because I do feel like that is something also that I find really frustrating is that we can't go into bakeries.
Yeah.
Like why is it that they put all of the
Nuts right at the front.
nuts, but like next to all the non-nutty things? Like, for example, when I went into that Starbucks the other day, they had the normal croissant, they had the almond croissant, but like they had all the allergens written on the little cards. But the fact they'd put them together,
It's just like
I'm like, that defeats the whole
I can't
object.
eat the whole thing. Yeah.
I'm like, well, that, and then they're like, yeah, but that one over there isn't touching this one. I'm like, yeah, but it's all in the same.
Yeah.
It's all in the same like thing.
So I just never eat like bakeries.
No,
like I
neither do
can't
I.
even. I don't even get the sandwiches. I'm just
You know
like,
what I did?
Yeah. It's like
It
a
was
trust
my-
thing. Like.
Yeah, it is. For my mum's
Yeah.
birthday last year, we went for a little walk and we actually called Gales when it opened at 7 a.m. and asked them to put a croissant like by for me because it was fresh out of the oven. There was
Yeah.
no cross contamination or anything like that.
Did they do
and
it?
it was fine. They did it.
Yeah.
But it was still a little bit nerve
Which
wracking.
is still better. How's your like anxiousness then? Is it okay? Like, because mine comes in waves.
It
like,
does.
Mine comes in like I go to a restaurant and if I've not eaten there before, I'm constantly like pulling down my I've ruined some of
Yeah.
my t-shirts because the
Just
neckline.
like-
I'm constantly like looking at my chest like as like my
It's
first
when you
sign
start
of,
getting like
yeah.
a tickly back of the throat and you're like, is
What
this?
Yeah. I was gonna say, going back to kind of like social media,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of mentioned that you wanted to kind of change the content potentially this year going forward.
Yeah.
How does that look for you?
I think I just kind of realised I don't really know why I don't speak about my nut allergy more.
Just hide it.
Yeah, well, it's not even the fact that I hide it. I have never thought to post that much about it, and I'm so passionate about it.
And all your recipes are nut free, I imagine.
yeah, they are. Like,
And I feel like, do you say that? Like they're always
I
like,
do. I will. I do. Like, I put like a little note about it, or like I'll do like hashtags saying nut free, but I don't really shout about it too much. And I think I do want to start.
Do you follow like nut free like blog?
and I
like,
chat to loads of people. Like, I love the whole community. Like, it's so great. And so I think I have just decided that actually I do want to start posting a little bit more about it because I've got so many like tips and tricks. Like I
it's like more content though, isn't it? Like
exactly.
you could share like
I
alongside
figured out that I was
all the
allergic
fitness.
to nuts when I was 11, 12, and now I'm 27.
How did you find out?
I was in the Lake District and we were in a restaurant and
Yeah.
I had a chocolate brownie for pudding. and it didn't say on the menu that it had nuts in. And I'd never really been a fan of nuts anyway when I was growing up, so I probably wouldn't have chosen it had I known.
Yeah.
But yeah, it had walnuts in, and my throat started scratching. And I can remember my parents being like, "Oh, that's a bit strange. Like,
yeah, what's happening?
What's happened?"
Yeah.
So my dad took me back to the house. Luckily, it was only 5 minutes down the road to get some Piriton. Gave me the Piriton. I then went off to the park with my friends, and then, I just went into full anaphylactic shock. Really, like my throat, and I just started like hives. Like it was awful. I ran back to the restaurant. And we had to get the guys off the mountains to come down, and they couldn't give me adrenaline. They could only give you air. And we had to wait.
How come they couldn't give you adrenaline?
I don't know. It's not in their remit. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And then we had to wait for an ambulance to come and give me adrenaline. But it was terrifying, like really scary.
At that age as well.
But prior to that, I'd eaten nuts before, so I don't really know what it was that suddenly clicked in me. It's
weird how it happens at different ages as well. I remember one of the first guests I had on was like Polly, and she worked in my last job, and she got it when she was like 21.
Really?
Yeah, just come out of the blue. She eats nuts every Christmas.
That's so
And then
weird,
it just one Christmas she had nuts, and like she went into anaphylactic shock. And lucky she was in a small town, and lucky there's an ambulance like nearby. Otherwise she was like, I actually don't know if I'll be able to tell you this story.
Exactly, it's scary because I didn't have EpiPens on me at all. I literally had no idea.
Have you ever had to use the EpiPen?
Touch wood.
Touch wood, yeah.
Touch wood. I always feel like
there's a word. Yeah.
No, I haven't. But I carry them everywhere with me. The other day I went when I went out to. Oh, it was when I actually went out to work.
I'm getting right.
Touch wood.
I was going to be touch it. I would have been like, I would have been thinking about it. I was like,
yeah. No, the other day, I'm usually really, really on it with my EpiPens. Like most people are like keys, phone, wallet. I'm like keys, phone, wallet, EpiPens.
Yeah.
But the other day when I had to drop something off to work, and for some reason I just took a tote bag with me, and I didn't take my EpiPens with me. And it wasn't until I was on my way home that I suddenly realised that I didn't have them, and I'd ended up having to stay at the event for way longer than I had thought I was going to. So when I was on my way home, I was suddenly like, oh my God, luckily I didn't eat anything. But imagine if something had happened.
So scary.
And I didn't have them with me, and I hadn't even thought about it. It
just happened. I've got to the office before, oh my God, I don't have my EpiPens. But luckily, work had chilled out about working from home. So there's I'll just go home.
Do you just go home and get them? Yeah, because it is one of those things, isn't it? It's like, do you risk it and stay, or do you turn around and go back home and get them? I'm always like, no,
if I brought me own food, but even then, I think it'd just be
but
on my
what
mind,
if something was on the surface, or I always have to say to my colleagues, if they're eating nuts next to me, which generally they don't because they're very good. We now have posters around the office.
Oh, really? I've got
saying
a little
no
sign
nutters
on the front door, when you walk in, no nuts.
Yeah, exactly. Generally they're really good, but occasionally they do forget.
Yeah.
And so they just have to be careful of not touching my laptop or not touching my space.
Yeah. Breathing on you, right?
Breathing on me. God, yeah, being in an office can be quite
yeah, I've had that before. I think I mentioned it a few weeks ago on a podcast, in my old job, because it was such a big office, you couldn't just shout across the office if someone's on the opposite side.
But it's the same as traveling and planes, right?
Yeah. How's that been for you then, and flights and stuff?
Yeah, similar to what I was saying before. I never used to think twice about it really, and now I am so conscious of it.
Well, I had an allergic reaction.
I know.
Just from sleeping, and that freaked
me out.
Oh my God, he proper
I know, it's made
I honestly
me think.
I think it's the first time my girlfriend saw me in that state.
Really?
And I was I was upset, and I was shaken. I was more shaken by the whole thing because the hives were massive, and I didn't have my antihistamine because it was locked away in the cabin, and I didn't think I was in a rush.
It's made me honestly that your experience doing that has made me really.
I don't know if people are anxious, but
no,
it is.
But that happening to you has made me be more careful, because I'd never have considered I didn't even used to tell the airline that I was allergic, which is really stupid.
Oh, really?
Really stupid.
I just tell them when I get on the plane. Do you?
Yeah. For this flight this week, I have told them
Who are you flying with?
EasyJet.
Oh, they're really good.
Really
they don't serve
good.
nuts anyway, do they?
Do they
They're
not?
banned nuts on all flights. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Back in
That's
about
good.
2019
Oh.
or 18, yeah.
I actually
really
didn't know
good,
that. That's
actually,
really good. But I have told them anyway, and you get special assistance.
Yeah.
And then you can...
You're going to board early? I've never done that.
You're bored early. I've never done it.
I made a joke about it on my Instagram.
I'm going to do it.
On Maria, be like, I'm Jose Mourinho. I can these. Because he calls himself the special one.
Assistant seats.
Yeah, he calls himself the special one.
Oh,
So that's the reason I did it. But then the whole thing, I've never actually did it.
I've
But
never
then
done it
I knew
before.
that people with allergies can do it. Like,
Yeah. So I've put it on my booking, and I'm
That's
gonna
so
tell them when I
exciting.
get there and just see what happens, because
Yeah,
I've never
yeah.
done it. So I'm gonna just see what the process is and think, and just
Yeah.
see what happens, because I'm gonna wipe down my seat,
Oh,
wipe
that's
down my
amazing.
tray.
Well, that's what I'm going to start doing now, because
Yeah.
after that experience, I need to get some baby
Scary.
wipes.
Yeah, because I think.
It's great. It's
But
just,
this is the other thing that when I was watching the Allergy Bubbles podcast with you, she was saying about how she takes her whole packed lunch with her, and like sandwiches and like
How
pasta
does she get through
salad.
the...
This is what I'm
Yeah.
wondering. I need to do some research.
Get back on the pod.
Because I'm like, I love a packed lunch, but I'm like on Friday, instead of getting stuff from the airport, which is what I usually do, I just find a sandwich or like some fruit or something.
Weatherspoons aren't my
Wetherspoons.
gospel. Like, yeah, just get
Get
the
a fry
breakfast
up.
from there. But then I'm always like, I always get to the airport way too late.
Yeah,
And then that's
exactly.
the stressful bit, because I'm like, where the hell am
See.
I going to get a sandwich now, which is completely not free?
I am not that person. I am that person that gets there 3 hours early.
Yeah, we
And I
try
just
to. It
wander
just never
around.
happens, like, yeah.
I think I just end up getting, what did I get last time? I got a fruit pot from like Pure, and like a ham wrap or something, like really
Yeah.
basic foods, but Pure tends to be quite good because they have all the allergens written.
What's pure?
It's just like a cafe style
Oh, okay.
chain, I think it
Yeah.
is. But they have one in Gatwick North.
Oh, that's good.
But they have all of the allergens written on the labels when you're
Yeah.
picking up the food, which is so good. So I just got a fruit pot, and it's like a sandwich from there. Some like,
Do they have nuts?
yeah.
Many nuts?
they
Not
had
really.
like a granola pot,
Yeah.
but it didn't seem like they had that much around
Yeah,
at
yeah,
all.
yeah.
But it was fine, and they seemed to know what they were talking about. So
Yeah, I always go to, I think it's like Boots, and just get the plainest sandwich,
Yeah,
which is like
just ham.
with no butter and bread.
yeah, that's exactly
It's
what I
like
get.
the most miserable.
Or like
butty.
Wagamama's is really good as well,
Yeah.
because they have such an amazing allergy policy. Like obviously the manager
Yeah.
has to take your order, they write it down on your menu, and I think they have a nut-free kitchen, which
So I went.
is don't tell
No,
me.
no, no,
this.
no, no. It was a good experience.
Okay.
So there's really good with allergies, but then I think there was like, there's no nuts in the food, but we've got like nuts locked away in the fridge
Oh, that's
in
interesting.
the dessert. I'm pretty sure that's what she
Oh,
said.
I've not been told that. Okay,
But then,
that's interesting.
because I've never had Wagamama's before,
Yeah.
I just wasn't in the right mindset
Yeah.
to like do it.
Try
But I
something
really want to.
new.
What do you get?
I mean,
do you get the katsu curry?
I've never had the katsu curry. I
Oh,
don't know.
really?
I know. I don't know. I don't know
What do
why.
you get then?
The donburi. It's like a chicken donburi. It's like
What's a
sticky
donburi?
rice
I've never-
with like shredded chicken
Oh,
and like
really?
veg. It's really nice. Or like if I
need
go
to
for,
do it, like,
but they
yeah.
do breakfast as well. So my flight on Friday is 6:25 in the morning.
Yeah.
So if I go for breakfast, they do like an avocado on toast, which is pretty standard,
safe, yeah.
pretty standard. So yeah, I'll just get that.
It really scares me now, like with what happened to Natasha, and
Yeah,
that like
me
the
too.
allergic reaction doesn't always happen straight away.
Yeah.
And it could happen whilst you're midair.
Yeah,
That's
it's scary.
Really, really, really scary. That like makes me a bit like
Bit anxious. I
a
know.
bit anxious. I could eat something, and
This is why
Yeah.
I'm like, do I take my all completely like my own food?
message
and like,
Jess.
yeah, I'm going
Message
to.
Allergy Bubble and be like, how
How
are
do
you
you do
sneaking
it?
food in?
How
Yeah,
does
yeah.
she? Because she said that she didn't even like. She doesn't even say anything. She just takes it through, and they don't question it. So I'm going to try it. We'll see what.
just
I'll let you know what happens
sneak-
on Friday.
Sneak your butties
My
in, like,
sandwich.
yeah, with a little
Bacon sandwich,
bag,
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I don't know. I love traveling, and I would never let my allergies stop me from.
I was going to ask you that, like, because I think I've
Yeah.
always been like very like it doesn't define.
It's not
who-
going to
yeah,
stop me from doing
yeah.
anything. Like I love to put. I'm quite a positive person.
That's good,
I
yeah.
love putting a positive spin on most things. And allergies is one of those things.
Yeah.
Like I would never let it stop me from doing anything, apart from maybe going to Thailand.
Yeah, or
Which
Asia, yeah.
Some places, yeah, but
Yeah, I think that's the only thing I'm like, I really need to do it at some point, kind of thing. Like,
go
yeah.
over traveling over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I was gonna ask as well. Has any of your friends got allergies? Are you the only one?
I've got a couple of friends that are like gluten intolerant.
Yeah.
But I'm the only one with a nut allergy. Like
Even in the family as well.
even in the
Yeah.
family. Actually, that's something that we probably talk about. Is like people in the family getting to grips with.
They still not get it.
They're better now.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I remember one Christmas. Bless my grandma. Like it was completely not her fault at all. But she does like this big buffet.
Yeah.
And it is nut free generally. But for some reason, there was pickled walnuts on the table.
Oh no.
And obviously walnuts are the one that I fear the most, because that's what caused my initial reaction in the first place.
Oh, okay.
And I ended up having a bit of a panic attack because I didn't have an allergy reaction, but you know when you start like overthinking it and you're like, am I scratchy? Like, is my throat?
Oh my God,
I was getting
yeah.
like itchy hands and I
Like
had to
sweaty
take
palms,
myself
you're
off.
like,
Yeah, and I had to take myself off. So I think, but like since then, like nothing else has happened. I think people do understand a little bit more. But initially getting people to realise actually it's very serious.
I always feel like
quite a
family
task.
events, you always forget. Like, I always feel like it's the
Yeah.
amount of times like
It's
I've been to like
reminding
family events
people.
and like, they're like, there's,
I'm
like,
always
nuts
actually
out, and
quite
my mum's like, "What are
surprised
you
when
doing?"
people
Like,
remember
Yeah.
that they're like, oh, we thought about you with this, or like friends when they said, oh, I've already checked for this. I'm like, that actually means so much when they like pre-check.
Go
and,
out
like,
of the way kind
they're
of thing.
prepared
like,
for it, which is so nice.
Your friends all know how to like use the EpiPen as well.
They all know how to use it,
Educated.
which is amazing. But I did it was actually great at work the other day. We did first aid training.
Oh, amazing.
And they obviously showed how to use an EpiPen and everything. And everybody was so interested that they obviously have the fake like dummy EpiPens, but they asked me to bring mine down so they could see a real one. And I was like,
real one, yeah.
This is so exciting.
Just get out of the case. And
I mean,
just,
it
like,
makes me feel a little bit funny when I'm talking about EpiPens because I don't really like needles anyway.
Oh, really?
So
you can't see it. Well,
you can't.
I say you go on TikTok and everyone shows you how big the needle is, and I'm like,
until your mum tells you to stab an old one into a milk bottle and you see how big they are. Don't do that.
Oh my God.
I was like, thanks, Mum.
I've seen it on TikTok.
It's
and
horrible.
Like, it's massive.
Yeah, we don't want to tell you that. But yeah, so I mean, everybody was really interested, which I always really appreciate when people are like asking me questions about how it's happened. I'm always a bit surprised when people don't ask.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I'd prefer if you did ask questions. I'd rather talk about it and like get it out in the open and show you how to use an EpiPen than stay silent about it. And
I always feel like every time there's a new start, I was like, I've got no allergy. Like, I feel like I've got like.
People are like, why are these signs around the office saying no nutters? I'm like, I'm the nutter. But yeah, I think pretty much all my friends are amazing. Like, they're so great with it. And very supportive, which is good.
That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's been amazing to have you on the podcast because obviously I've been like seeing your posts and like you're going to be doing more videos now.
I'm on the videos.
You'll be on the TikTok hype. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. That's what my sister keeps telling me. I need to get on TikTok next.
So you're going to be doing the dances and the pointing.
We tried it through lockdown. We tried it.
Did it go well?
No.
No. So we've got time for that. But yeah, no, it's been amazing to kind of get you on the podcast today. Yeah, like kind of find out more about yourself, like your allergies. Like I think we've spoke about so much.
We spoke about a lot.
Mental health, anxiety, food.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
If anyone wants to kind of follow your page or find out more about yourself.
Yeah, so my Instagram is Ellie so you can find me over there.
Amazing. So yeah, so make sure to check it out. And yeah, thanks again for coming on the podcast.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.